Hey, everybody. I am fully aware of the way I look right now. I am not wearing any makeup. I'm lying down in bed because it's the only position I can hold right now without pain. Um, and before anyone thinks that they can have an opinion about how I'm feeling right now, just know that there's a lot of veterans like me who deal with pain on a rather daily basis. Um, Emotional, mental, and physical, all at the same time, quite often. And yeah, no makeup. I don't care that this camera angle is garbage right now. This is not what it's important. It's not what's important. I don't care about those things right now. It's not about those things that we once thought were important. We really considered consider that what we were worried about before was so little and a luxury to worry about. A lot of things are. But I just have some thoughts, and I want to encourage action with these words, but also do everything I can to take action. And I don't care that I only have a handful of subscribers on YouTube, and I don't care if this reaches even more than one person. If it reaches one person and the message is sent and adds to the beautiful group of voices that want the good and love for this country, I hope that I contribute to that in the best way I can. And if I wince, I'm sorry. My neck has locked up, and I've been having a migraine that has been varying in levels of pain for the past 5 days. And I'm just going to say that um, I have some notes. I wrote them down, and personally, I don't care if it looks like my view is coming off camera. I don't have the best memory, and I haven't had the time really to memorize everything I wrote down, but I am going to read some notes, okay, to get my message across. Uh, I had to adjust my camera a little bit, or the settings rather. Um, this makes me think of how John and Yoko Ono protested in bed decades ago in Amsterdam. Um, I think it was a protest against war. Except in my case, I don't really have a choice. I'm going to have to see if there's some way I can muster the energy and strength to get up so I can go, get checked out just in case. But back to the notes. Excuse me. I'm going to read my notes, and it might have to be broken down into maybe 2 or 3 videos. We'll see how this goes. But trust me when I say this is heartfelt. I may emote somewhat, but the point is I'm just sending this message. So, coming from the point of view of someone who has never really involved themselves in politics all that much, at least not consciously, here is what I have to say. I am thoroughly ashamed that we knowingly elected a convicted rapist and 34-count felon and anyone else who backs him. It doesn't matter what he promised. We cannot be electing leaders with low moral character, especially knowingly. Did no one do their research? Excuse me. And let me say this. I am all for voting for conservatism if it's best for this country and the supportive freedom of everyone. And we had that choice for the best future. And we made the wrong one, because this is not about conservatives or Republicans. This was a massively important historic event where we were choosing freedom for everyone and to set aside our differences, or to choose for everyone to be affected and oppressed. And now it seems to me like everyone is going to get a taste of what it's like when you vote against your daughter's interests, Black and Indigenous people's interests, immigrants' interests, and then it comes back to bite you. And we will end up all having to face it down. This was not about voting against certain ideologies that you just don't like. It was voting for our progress and freedom and a more loving society, or going the opposite way. Now, I'm the type of person to look at the big picture. I try to see where things can go, but still, shame on you. At least with Clinton and others like him, we weren't completely sure and didn't really know, but this is fucking appalling. Anyone who voted for endangering women and children, shame on you. I don't feel protected by a lot of men right now. Or white women. It's like half my DNA is trying to destroy the other half. And goodbye to hookup culture. A lot of men were taking advantage of the luxury of the options that came with the dating world, but now they're going to lose that based on these results. I guess you guys weren't responsible enough to handle it anyway, and treat women with respect. Now you're about to find out what it feels like to have that backfire on you too. Because when we spread hate, we end up smacking everyone, including the people who perpetuate it. It's all out in the open now. I recognize that in this perpetuated rape culture, a lot of people don't care, but eventually they may end up having to, because the ripple effects of this could have on their immediate family could be massive, including when it comes to rape and women becoming more targeted. This is very re-traumatizing for me, who is a survivor of sexual violence. And I have to say that my body has been in panic mode for 5 full days, with my neck locked to the point where I can't even turn right, and a migraine that keeps fading in and out and won't let go. I'm grateful for now that I have a care plan that I desperately need to take care of myself while we deal with this. For anyone who says that mental illness is only in your head, let it be known that there is more than enough scientific evidence, real concrete evidence to the contrary, showing beyond a shadow of a doubt that it causes things like diabetes, increased pain, nervous system effects that overall lead to things, even dementia, and severe effects to physical function over the long term. We can manage it, but many of us will never truly recover. This has been studied extensively, and the evidence is very much there. I will not be posting links because you can look it up yourself on Google. You know, it's all there, and I don't have the energy especially after putting out all of these thoughts. Take advantage of the ability to look up whatever you want while you still can. Nothing can be taken for granted right now. Trust me. I've come to learn and knew from the very beginning that we are stronger as a nation when we can hold our own beliefs, views, and values while also living in support of everyone else's without having. In addition to all of this, I want to say to any men who voted against our safety and protection, you clearly don't want to actually protect us. If you say that and you parade it around saying you love women and love protecting them, well, you clearly don't understand what that means. Or you do, and you just like the appearance of looking like a protective, actual, responsible man. And it's time to reevaluate that. Or at least show us who you are so we can stay away from you. Another thing that I've noticed is that in our culture, a lot of men get involved in politics, and women are not encouraged enough to be involved in politics, political sciences. And, you know, a lot of people in this generation and generations coming after me, because I'm an elder millennial from the 80s, are not involved enough in politics. They don't have enough of an understanding of our governmental structure, and the ones that have been familiarized with it have lost touch with it. You can hear such things as, oh, it's just too complicated and messy, or it seems like all the mean or nasty people get involved in it, and you know, it just seems like everyone's unpleasant and it's stressful. I don't think it has to be that way. I think that it's the duty of every citizen here to be aware of how our governmental systems operates, who our representatives are, the leaders that we elect, the ones that are coming up for election. We have to do our objective research on them and understand them, and have use of our critical faculties, our critical thinking, and our objective reasoning. We just have to be aware of those things. We need to vet our leaders better. We need to vet our leaders better. They need to go through a specific educational process and stand by the oath of the Constitution. And if they, flip or fail or go against the freedom and respect of rights for all, they need to be fired just like with any other job, even if it is probably the most important position in the country. The power has to go back to the people to elect the right person. And individuals and people who back them. It has to go back to the people because that's the most sustainable way to operate. Character, we need to vet them for education. We need to vet them, I think, for military experience, but maybe I'm being biased here. Or at least involvement with the military in some way. And with regard to leaders, if you choose to be a leader, i.e., if you are someone who, I heard this from another video created by a veteran on, where they were speaking about people with large platforms. If you have a large platform, well, you're a leader and you spread influence, and it's your responsibility to help people by not panicking and providing them with not false assurance, but encouragement on figuring out what to do in a crisis. Encouragement and proper guidance. It's your. So I had to switch to my laptop camera because my phone, for some reason, is not working. The data's full, but thankfully I have my laptop sitting on my bed already. So I was saying about large platforms. If you have a large platform, you're a leader whether you like it or not. And instead of spreading fear and panic, and you have every right to feel those feelings, but you have a responsibility with your power and gift of influence to provide genuine encouragement and a solution-based attitude in this situation, however light coming it may be. And with respect to the idea of leaders, I have something else to say about that too. If you're a leader, especially in the governmental system that we have in place or anywhere, it's not about you. I know that sounds obvious, but it's really not. And I feel like maybe we've lost touch with that idea. You are in service to this country and the people who elected you. And see, we cannot sustain ourselves if just oppression and harm of any kind is unsustainable against groups. It's unsustainable. It's unsustainable. Balance and benefit to everyone comes from us working genuinely alongside each other, even if we don't meet eye to eye on certain things. That's what it means to be an individual, to have your own true beliefs. but not enact harm or hide behind certain ideologies as a scapegoat to your own prejudiced thinking. We, by my observation, live in a world that also discourages women from pursuing careers in certain fields like the sciences, which does not sound relevant, but trust me, it is. There's so many things that women are conditioned to not be interested in, and I'm just now waking up to it because these lines of thinking that we've internalized somewhere from somewhere disempower us. And it's sad because the world could be in such a different place if we would find ways to proactively change the culture and have people support us in changing it and letting go of these false, oppressive, limiting concepts, which I think we're about to do, as wild as that sounds. I used to believe for a very long time I'm not smart enough or good enough to explore these fields of study, and that's had long-range impacts on my life. That's important because we will need women in analytical positions, and we need people who will fill up those positions of science, scientific research, logic, and objective reasoning. We need people who are completely well-rounded in the way they are educated, from the arts to the sciences, meeting in the middle, because without both we cannot thrive as a world, as a society, and as individuals. Thankfully, my parents did raise me to understand that. I was just exposed to other influences that I'm still working through. We need to start defining who is Christian and who is a bigot hiding behind a philosophy that's supposed to be pure and loving. We need to have people understand that we have to respect the purity of all systems of belief. Especially, in my view, ancient ones. We need to pay attention to ancient systems of belief in particular. And who is using it as a scapegoat and an excuse to enact their own prejudice and hatred. To me, those are not Christians. To me, anyone who takes a pure philosophy, which, yeah, was created by humans, but to me, it's all about the person approaching it and their intent. Are they going to open up to its wisdom? Or are they going to take it and use it to further limit the world around them and hurt others? And just a disclaimer, I don't know everything. I know that I don't know everything, and that's part of the reason of being open and having the willingness to open up to learning more. I also think that we should bend toward making religion and personal belief a bit more personal, and we can put it out in the open, but at the same time I think we need to encourage people to look within themselves in more solitude, inner solitude. I think that's so important. And I'm speaking from experience as a chaplain's assistant, a former chaplain's assistant in the military. I've always loved studying systems of belief and what it can accomplish in terms of love and good in this world. A guidepost that we don't have to be afraid of. It's just all about the intent of who's approaching it. One other thing that I want to point out is that I am very grateful for any and all people who are artists of any kind, who are using their platform to encourage people to take engaged action, and who are alleviating our stress and helping us clear our minds through expression of their gifts. I hope to proudly call myself an accomplished member of that community at some point. Because artists are the truth tellers. They reflect the times and bring beauty into this world, and that beauty helps us progress and make it better for everyone. Such as comedians, especially the ones who are more philosophical. They are some of the greatest truth tellers I've ever seen, who alleviate any sort of stress that's blocking me or anyone from thinking clearly. My favorite stand-up comedian is Josh Johnson. He's a fantastic observational philosopher of the best kind. And even the comedians that just do silly things, like Brandon Ferris, who just make us laugh. I would just want to extend my gratitude, because you guys have gotten me through a lot and helped me believe in myself. Jamie French is another one I love. There's many more. Maybe one day I'll create a list and encourage people to look them up. Leaders have a distinct responsibility to stand their ground and defend us and make right decisions for us collectively by hearing us out and following through on it. They are not allowed to walk off or abandon us in difficult times, and if they can't hold the position they were placed into for some reason, they need to find another way to support us. And if that doesn't get through to you as a leader and you still don't care, keep in mind, leaders of the world, that eventually that shit catches up with you, even if you think it won't. So you may as well stand your fucking ground and help us and offer solutions during a very crucial time. It's very humbling to realize that you cannot escape death, and you cannot escape growing old, and you cannot escape disease just because you have more money than us and more power and more privilege. To me, death is the great equalizer. It consumes everything, no matter what it is. And at the end of the day, we gave that to you. This is a relationship between the people and the structures that we have you operating in, and the leaders. And anyone who refuses to recognize that is purposely breaking their own arm and destroying everything for everyone, including themselves. And the next part of this I'm going to speak on as a person who is contending with their own mistakes and passivity. Because we have all played a part in getting here. Except for just hopefully what I say, half of me, I want to speak out and be as supportive as I can, but the other half of me is also saying I'm open to correction. If I'm wrong in any way speaking like this, I am sorry. I am genuinely in support, and I will listen if anything I say to the Black community is harmful. I will do the best I can to show that I am loving and supportive, not for your approval, but because I genuinely know how important it is. And I am open to correction and listening. The Black community and the way that we've affected them is the most, this is the most obvious thing, and I'm ashamed that we actually have to say it at all, but we do. We need to show up for them much more than we historically have, and do things to protect the Black community and be proactive. Even if at this point we're long past the point of really being able to make things up to them. This is not about winning their approval or forgiveness. It's about protecting them the best we can and pulling out all the stops to do so. Taking the greatest path to do so. And continuing to do so moving forward. We all heal from trauma collectively much, much faster when we unify. Any voluntary support that they do provide freely of their own will is a gift that we cannot take for granted. They don't have to do anything. Everyone that chooses to help us in the Black, and even, in the Black community, they are doing it, and it's a gift. It's a gift we must appreciate, because we've put them through so much. We've put them through so much. I was also watching a video on the channel Tabitha Speaks Politics, which I recommend you go to on her channel and listen. Listen. Do not draw attention to yourself. Just listen. And, share her information and other Black creators' information, particularly Black women, because we should have been, honestly, we should have been listening ages and ages and ages ago to begin with. I'm putting in my part. But I recommend you go and listen to her channel. She has a lot of things to say that bring light to what's going on. On her channel, though, where the civil rights movement is mentioned, and I've been thinking about the civil rights movement, what was so effective about it in my parents' generation was that they were very proactive. And by the way, anyone that tries to dissent historical events, I have a personal observation that they're trying to dismantle our morale. And by the way, I'm an expert in that too, because chaplains and chaplains' assistants bring morale into a unit. And it's a very important role because it helps us to maintain our sense of vision and forward movement. If we believe that we are accomplishing something, and we are, if we know that we are truly accomplishing something and helping each other get home, morale is important for that. So that's another important thing. I want us to be very wary of anybody that tries to tell us that very important events like that don't matter. They do. They matter. I'm not saying that history has been written down correctly. There's a lot of things that are being reevaluated, and they need to be. But we also need to be careful of anyone that tries to attack our morale and our belief in our own power. But in the civil rights movement, they were very calculated, and the reason the history and the reason it was such a landmark in history was because protesters were very strategic in protesting. They were proactive, and they timed it well. Long before the anvil dropped. A lesson we are probably learning right about now. We are going to have to learn a lesson here and contend with the mess that we've created, and not ask Black people
to cut in and step in for us, especially after the way that we've treated them as a country, including our hopeful president, who didn't deserve the treatment that she got. Sorry, I'm in pain. And that goes for anyone who was passive in any way in any and all events. I'm not excluding myself from this statement either, because we all have to examine what part we all had to play in action or non-action. I'm not going to say who I voted for here, especially since that's my right to share it or keep it private. I'm only going to say I voted for the good of everyone and voted us making, real, genuine, loving progress. Just like any true service member should, to protect our overall rights to peace and freedom for everyone. I'm speaking as a mixed Indigenous woman and disabled veteran here. I can't even say that I'm a good person, because it's not about me and it's not about you looking like a good person. And we've all made our share of painful, horrible mistakes. We all have a shadow side. But we need to step in and figure out exactly what to do to mend the bond, to make progress, like we should have done a long, long time ago, and contend with what we are facing. We need to contest the election, including the involvement of other people backing this movement that's in office right now. We need serious reform in the way in which we choose our leaders. I said this earlier, but I'm going to reiterate. And take a look at the structures we have in place and how the people who don't have our best interests at heart got involved in the first place, and place greater protections in place for situations like this. I personally believe that if you want to be president, you can be, but you need to go through a major educational process specifically for leadership of this country before you do, dedicated specifically to strategy and high moral character and serving in the military, a system by the way which we should monitor as a people. I know that the Electoral College has something to do with that, but I actually need to educate myself, or re-educate myself on that. I'll be honest. It's okay to not. We need to know more about the Electoral College. That's another thing we need to do. But we need more stringent preparation for our leaders. We really do. We need to start making curriculums and records of what patterns have happened in history. And in addition to that, they need to have high moral character. They need to serve in the military. And I don't mean high moral Christian character. I mean high moral, general, good character. Serving in the military is a possibility, or at least some kind of benevolent involvement with the military. We need to make this. That's a bias, by the way. I'm aware. It's up for discussion. And we need to make this opportunity available to everyone equitably, rather than just letting white supremacy rule in our nation. And if the leader flips or fails us, we need to implement better protections in impeachment laws and fire them, just like any job where you're not performing to standard. Our leaders need to be objective and of, again, high moral character, and develop the type of experience that cultivates their empathy and strategic leadership skills, so they have a better sense of what they need to do. They're getting compensated for a reason. It's a dangerous job, and it's a demanding job, and it's an important job of service, not self-fulfillment. Power seekers need not apply. I feel that just like any other major text in this world, the Constitution is a living document. Therefore, while we must stay true to what it says, we need to do it in a way that matches this time and fulfills the actual meaning behind it of fulfillment for freedom, genuine loving freedom for all. And it putting that freedom out into this world. And it's because we need that for our survival as a world and as all living beings. And to understand balance. Just my opinion. My view, my experience. Common respect is a survival skill too. None of this is new. We are extraordinarily late to taking action, but we may as well do something now because divide and conquer is a very real strategy that corrupt will use. And the way for us to unify is to show up for the communities that we have historically oppressed and protect them and be proactive now in doing what we can now. We need to speak to our government officials and let our voices actually be heard in a way that takes effect. Figure out how to take action. The time for just talking about it is fucking done. As soon as I'm done with this video, actually. Go do something. And if you are lost, I mean, by all means talk, but do something too. Go do something, and if you are lost and don't know what to do, figure it out. And stop asking Black people for support and management of your feelings, which you should handle as a goddamn adult yourself. And if we somehow come out of this better, and I think we will, we have the gift of good leaders, and if we have the gift of good leaders stepping in to help us, especially Black and Indigenous women in the White House and any part of governmental structure, we need to treat them better. Everyone. And all Black and Indigenous people far better than we historically have, and show up for them. Get familiar with everything they have done to tirelessly help and support our beliefs, values, and progress made in freedom in this country and across the world. Thanks to the Black community and administration headed by President Obama, I am afforded a life that helped me begin the long road of recovery of myself, my identity, and recovery from trauma that I so sorely needed, as do so many veterans. And I will never forget that for the rest of my life. It moves me to tears to know it. And even though it was an act of gratitude for my service and the service of many veterans, I still feel like there's always something more I can do to return the favor. And I think that's how everybody should think, regardless of whether it was perfect or not before. This is the wake-up call that we needed, and also we need to take a look at how there seems to be a trend of demanding and expecting Black and Indigenous people to clean up our mess. We place expectations on, so much more expectations on them than anyone else, and it's unfair. It's unfair to expect so much more from them when we should expect everything from our leaders and give. We really just have a double standard. We should all be helping instead of demanding they clean up our mess. And if you see Black people being harassed in the street, first of all, call emergency services if it's getting dangerous, and step in. I'm 5 feet tall. but I'm crazy. I'm in pain right now, but I will start a fight. Or not start a fight, I will try to de escalate a fight because that's how I was trained. I'm like Sinead O'Connor, mixed indigenous woman, got a lot of ancestral and personal trauma that I'm dealing with effectively crazy. Making nonlinear progress crazy. Carry non lethal weaponry with you if you have to for self defense and defense of anyone else that you see that's getting hurt. Speak up and say something. We can all assist in collective recovery from ancestral trauma. I'm not encouraging, by the way, anyone to go looking for violence. Don't do that. This is defense and protection. We can assist in collective recovery from ancestral trauma and contending with the harm that some of our ancestors have caused if we do all of this, and we will make this a much better world because of it for everyone, especially the people that have been hurt and traumatized the most. Hatred to me always backfires. It always backfires. I would even dare to say that some more occultist belief systems mention that, because it does, there's the law of three in paganism, in certain paganism beliefs, because it was an understanding of nature and how nature will always smack back at you. Let's keep in mind that we are not just protesting one person being elected. We are protesting against inequality and inequitability, corruption of the system, and the outcome of us being too passive and letting all of this happen and making it right for everyone. We are learning about what happens when we get to become too inactive or passive, or let ourselves be manipulated, or internalize harmful messages, or try to work against true freedom, peace, and equality, for everyone. It's a lesson that we need to learn. And just so you know, I remember growing up around conservative people, and the ones that I encountered were not bigoted that I could see. They weren't bigoted. They just had dedication to their families, and they wanted stability for everyone, and they would step in and help and then go mind their own business. This isn't that. Whatever we're encountering right now is not conservative. It's something else. It's hatred. I hope moving forward that we make ourselves exceptionally aware of our government, of how our government operates, and instead of complaining about it being messed up, we actually do something to fix it and enforce the laws that ensure protection of freedom for everyone in this government and country, and also become a benevolent force for good in this world, inspiring this world to be better and helping those who need help the most. We are more powerful when we do so. That's all I have to say right now for the most part. Please consider everything that I am stating here. Also, I am available to consider any and all opinions as long as they are civil and do not involve hate speech. If they do involve hate speech or disrespectful behavior, I will block you. I understand that everyone has trauma, everyone has their own needs. You're worried and scared, but hatred and division is not the answer. It's not. Especially not now. I want to extend my gratitude to any and all Black and Indigenous people that have fought hard for our rights, including our leaders and elected officials, everyone that has done great good that we cannot hardly even conceive of it, including President Obama, Michelle Obama, and VP Kamala Harris. And I'm just grateful for everyone who operates in our governmental structures, uh, who had to fight really hard to get their position to actually do good. But especially them. And as far as Kamala Harris, I know that action will mean a lot more, but I am sorry, and I'm ashamed of anyone that treated you like garbage, especially in this election. To me, you are the real president. I will forever respect you, and major respect to anyone truly supporting them and the good of this country. I always vote for the good of this country and the good of everyone, their safety, their peace, their protection, their ability to be just left alone to live a happy life. And the same for everyone that is struggling in this world. That's what I'm aiming for. We all need to be kinder to each other. I'm going to close there and try to do my physio exercises, take my meds, and try to go to the doctor. I love you all. So I just want to add one more thing to this conversation. There are naturalized indigenous citizens here. They belong here, and now they stand to be treated like they are strangers in their own homeland that they own. This is theirs. And I'm appalled and disgusted. In addition to the fact that they want to denaturalize naturalized citizens here. I just wanted to point that out because it's a human rights violation of every sense in every way, and also it's a human rights violation to them in specifically who originated here. So support indigenous cultures, backgrounds, nations, not just respecting their sovereignty and abandoning them, but actually supporting them. Do your research.